Greetings, my name is Leland Fetcher, and I am the designer of Project ALPACA, and today I'd like to take a few moments to teach you how to play the game. So at the core of Project ALPACA, you are trying to win rounds against your opponent by having the highest strength value. Now you'll get a strength deck that has numbers 1 through 10, and the person with the highest value at the end of the round wins. If you win a round, you get to increase your score on your score tracker here, and at the end of the game, the person with the most points wins. So that means if you are going to flip over, that's the first thing you do, you flip over the top of your strength deck. You can have an opponent with a 3 versus you with a 4. So seen by the number of lines on each of the cards, and also it's got the little pips in the corner there. But as we can see, 4 beats 3. It's the higher value. There we go. This is the basis of the game. However, Project ALPACA is supposed to mirror a secret government project known as the Project for the Assessment of Latent Psychic Ability, Control, and Awareness, ALPACA. And you are taking the role of a psychic candidate who is trying to become a secret government operative with your psychic abilities, and this is your final test. So, of course, it's not just as simple as flipping over cards and seeing who has the highest value. In Project ALPACA, you will actually have a hand of cards known as your psychic abilities, and these look like this. So we have, on this side, we've got Empower 3, add 3 to your strength value, and over here we have Weaken 1, subtract 1 from your opponent's strength value. So when we have these kinds of things, we can see that this changes the outcome of the game. After you've played your strength card, you will select from your hand one of your abilities, you'll play it face down, and then when your opponent are ready, you'll flip them face up, and then you'll see how the round plays out. So in this case, let's say the person with the 4 ends up playing Weaken 1 because they see they're against a 3 and they don't want to blow them out of the water. They figure 2 to 4 is all right. But then our person with the 3 ends up playing Empower 3. So to resolve this, we see that, Weaken 1 turns this into a 2. But because of Empower 3, it turns it into a 5. So you make both the cards resolve, and then we see that it ends up being 5 to 4, and so this person ends up winning. Now this all happens simultaneously, so the only information you have to go on is trying to predict what moves your opponent will be making. Will they go for a big play if they already have the lead in cards? Now this is where your psychic training comes into play. The other thing that can help you out if you don't feel like you're a full-fledged psychic is that there is only one of every single card in this game. For your strength deck, you only have numbers 1 through 10, and you have 25 unique ability cards in your ability deck. So not only are you adding and subtracting things, for example, you can do things like scramble your opponent, which is you make your opponent discard all their ability cards because maybe they were saving up something good for a later round. Or maybe you have a very big number advantage on your opponent, so you play something like recuperate. So you're subtracting from your own strength value in order to draw more cards. So there are all sorts of things that you can do to kind of manipulate the rounds into your favor, not only for the current round and point, but for the next 9 rounds as well. So if you're a good card counter and you see if somebody plays a card or flips over a strength card, you know that you're not going to see it again that game. So that kind of increases your powers of prediction in trying to figure out, well, I know their last card's a 7, and I can prepare for that. I'm saving this card for when I see that really big thing come later. Now, because there are only 10 rounds and only 10 strength cards, ties are bound to happen. And in fact, even in this example, if we have the 3 to the 4, and the person with the 3 ends up playing -1 on their opponent, it's 3 to 3. This is where the system of dominance comes into play. And in fact, I have a card for that. Dominate. You gain dominance. Dominance is the tiebreaker mechanism in Project ALPACA. The player with dominance, who you will track on your little scorecards right here in the middle, wins all ties and chooses the order that ability cards resolve in. So if before you were thinking, well, how do you know when to subtract the 1 and add the 3? The person with dominance will actually decide. Now, most of the time, it doesn't matter a whole lot. Like, it will just be resolved easily. But there are some interactions in this game where someone will have to make a choice and say, I want your card to go first, and then mine. The player with dominance gets that privilege. So not only are you going back and forth trying to win rounds, you're trying to also end up with dominance, this tiebreaker ability, so that you can keep winning in case you get right to the edge there and it ends up being a tie. Because there are 10 rounds of play, it is also very possible for the end score to be 5-5, which means the person with dominance ends up winning. Now, all of these mechanics are kind of to mimic a little bit some of that Cold War feeling where you're trying out brinksmanship and you're pushing to the edge, because if you can win by the skin of your teeth or by a tie, that means you can save your stronger cards for later when you might actually need them. So there are a lot of different card interactions that can happen. Like I said, 25 unique ability cards over a course of 10 rounds. I think it's a pretty cool game. I mean, that's why I'm creating it. I actually like it a whole lot. And one of my favorite parts about it is that it can have as much or as little strategy as you would like. I have seen people bust it out at a bar, just waiting on some friends. You can play it in between chunkier games, or if you want to sit down, you really can make a night of it where you're just going back and forth trying to, assert your psychic dominance over other people. And yeah, it's a really quick game, and it's only for 2 people because at the end of the day, sometimes I think it's hard to get your whole gaming group together when maybe you just want a night with somebody and say, hey, would you like to play a game? So if you have any questions, please let me know. But that is Project ALPACA. So I hope to see you in the future. Take care, play great games, and be a wonderful person. See ya.